Thank you for your presence in our lives, beloved Creator. And we ask that you continue to guide us through our spirit and our commitment to righting things as we proceed daily. We call you in to keep us close to you and to one another, without hatred, without intolerance, without division, but rather with diversity and with cooperation toward a more harmonious and creative solution to all that we encounter. With divine assistance, we pray this is in your name, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie.
My pleasure.
Hello, my name's Ron Froman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. I'd like to speak about attorneys, bar attorneys, lawyers, legal counsel and lawful counsel, and constitutional right to counsel. And you got to know that I do lawful, not legal, and this is my best effort. It seems to us that bar, when you say the Oregon State Bar, is an association or a society or a union, as in trade union, but it is incorporated and similar to a private membership association, although I prefer private membership assembly. It has a different mindset. So what we're dealing with, we think, is all those attorneys on all those states that are members of all of those bar associations are foreign agents. Whether they're registered or unregistered, they're foreign agents. FARA, Foreign Agent Registration Act. All these attorneys have an oath to the bar and are members of the court that they're in. If they're standing past the bar that separates the court from the audience, they're in the court. They're a member of the court. That's their club. The judges and the magistrates and judges pro tem and attorneys without any authority, all sitting in a black robe behind the judge's bench, those guys. They have authority only in a very small area of what jurisdiction actually is. When I was looking at an email today about a very large association or group, I'm positive it's incorporated, as the guy that's the head or nominal head of it is a bar attorney, and his dad used to be a attorney general before they murdered him. But in any case, attorneys on Oregon that become a member of the bar and pass the bar test, they become members of the bar, and they give them the choice: do you want to be a JD, a Juris Doctor, or do you want to be an Esquire? Well, a JD is, in my estimation, not a title of nobility. I imagine if you looked hard enough and far enough, you could find that doctor was a title of nobility. But I look at it as a PhD in law, not a PhD in law, but like one, such as So then that's on Oregon. So on Oregon, if you see the attorney's card and it says Esquire, you know that he has or she has knowledge of the difference between JD and Esquire, and that person chose Esquire, and Esquire is a title of nobility. People with titles of nobility cannot hold office in the United States of America's government set up by the Constitution. They're barred from it 2 times. Once in the Constitution and once in the 13th Amendment. Excuse me. Ooh, ear itch. So, a title of nobility for a bar attorney puts them outside the realm of common law. There's nothing common about a title of nobility. So then I heard from a friend of mine in Pennsylvania, when you take the bar in Pennsylvania and you become an attorney, a lawyer, counsel, you don't have to join the Bar Association because the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania is the one that hands out the bar license or the license to practice law in Pennsylvania. Now, there could be a whole lot of ways that they treat bar attorneys and bar associations and the American bar and all of that. I'm not sure. But if I see bar, I think British Accreditation Registry, that they get their registry or title or authenticity from London City and the bar. Now, whether it's British accreditation or British registry or exactly how that is, I don't know. But I'm real close. So there's a big difference in that. Now, if you're a bar attorney and you find out enough that you realize you don't want to be a bar attorney, then you can renounce being a bar attorney. I think they have a name for it. Inactive, I believe it is. What's her name? Chris Ann Hall. I called her office one time and spoke to them, and they said she has withdrawn from active activity as an attorney and is no longer an active member of the bar, or words to that effect. Now, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean tomorrow she can go down and pay her dues and then she's totally up straight with them and everything's good? Or does that mean she actually renounced it and quit paying dues and is no longer a member of the Bar Association of her state? I don't know. And she won't answer me back. So let's say that there's a guy that's a bar attorney and he starts an organization, something like Stuart Rhodes and the Oath Keepers. There's a bar attorney that started a group, an association, a society. And then there's, excuse me, John Durash at NLA, and I've heard he's a bar attorney, but I've never asked him personally, and I've spoken to him several times. So I don't know whether he's a bar attorney or not. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a bar attorney, and he's the head of a major organization in the forefront of not vaccinating children or not masking children. And that whole issue, which is a great issue to be for, and I'm for that. But friend of my friend may be my enemy. And however long it takes to determine whether that friend of a friend is an enemy or is a frenemy or is not compatible or is a friend, that takes some doing. For me, if you're an attorney, I have no problem with that at all. Good for you. If you're a member of the bar, I have a problem. I have a problem because I think you're a foreigner. You have a oath to a foreign agency, the Bar Association. I want to see the judge and both attorneys take the same oath that the person being prosecuted takes when they take the stand to uh, testify for themselves. And every person that testifies or speaks in the court has to have an oath before they testify. But yet the judge and the attorneys speak and go on the record with no oath. And I've read their 12 presumptions in law. And after you read the 12 presumptions in law, we did a show right here on that. After you read those, unless you're a corporation, you would never hire one of those guys to represent you. You would present yourself and have counsel sitting in second or third chair behind you to provide counsel, not to represent. But when they flip the law, they flip that too. So what would it take for a guy like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to get straight, in my estimation? First, he'd have to figure out whether or not he's an esquire with an oath to a foreign organization such as the British Accreditation Registry or the Massachusetts Bar. Then when he did that, he'd have to make a decision whether or not he wanted to be a free man or he wanted to be a U.S. citizen. If he wanted to be a free man, then he would have to quit the bar and not just stop paying and be inactive, but quit the bar and become counsel and do his best to operate in the de jure as lawful counsel. And I'm glad he's working hard for the kids, but I'd like to see him work hard for the United States of America and a constitutional Republican form of government, not what we have. And he has been elected to the de facto for a long time. That's got to be dealt with. You just have to make the decision on, do you toe the line or do you not toe the line? I was speaking to my daughter today about Donald John Trump. He likes bar attorneys a lot. He likes them a lot. And he likes bankers. I think he in particular likes Jewish bankers and bar attorneys. And anybody that has grown to the wealth he has from New York City has got to have seen some things. seen some real things. And before he was elected, it wasn't misprision of felony that he was involved in because he had no oath. But after he got elected and he found out all those things from all of those bar attorneys and bankers, that the JFK papers were still locked away and people got to see little bits or something, but they're not published. He said he was going to do that, and he didn't. So then how do you determine if somebody that is definitely interested in putting forth the best they can and really doing the best they can, they have to come all the way to the forefront and be honest as they possibly can be, not lie, tell the truth. And that's hard to do. These guys just have a lot of baggage. They can't seem to carry it. Well, you don't have to carry it, but you do have to confess to it. You have to take your chances. A grand jury might throw your ass in the can, but if you're going to come to it, come to Jesus, as they say. Like the attorneys that I run across all the time working for the government, they're not giving up the de facto to the de jure. They're not interested in that at all. They're interested in furthering the disunification of our constitutional Republican form of government. They prove it every time they turn around. Kate Brown's a bar attorney. I think Shemaiah Fagan's a bar attorney. These people should not be in office. They should never have been elected. It's really difficult to figure out, but it has to do something with, are you a member of the bar and an esquire or not? And I'm not sure. I don't know. But you're definitely suspect if you're a member of the bar. Now, they say Lincoln was a member of the bar. I've been unable to prove that. And I backed Anna von Ritz down on that one. There is no proof he was a member of the bar. If he was, how did he get elected president? Because they had 13 Tona from 1819. They had the same constitution that said no titles of nobility. And I just think he must have been a lawyer from Illinois, legally and lawfully, or he couldn't have been elected. But then why did South Carolina withdraw from the Union prior to him ever taking his inaugural step? Yeah, that's a way to put it. So, bar attorneys, attorneys in general, how do you deal with them? Very carefully. And not as first chair representing you. If you're going to hire one, hire one. Have them do a job. They don't need any client privilege. And when you get their information, present yourself. Don't represent with an attorney. So any citizen of the United States shall accept, claim, receive, retain any present pension, office, or emulant, which is pay of any kind, whatever, from any emperor, king, prince, or foreign power. Such persons shall cease to be a citizen of the United States and shall be incapable of holding any office of trust or profit under them or either of them. So, the 13th Amendment goes in we were just talking about this. Section 9, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution also says, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of Congress, accept any present emolument, office, title, or of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. A small aside on that, a guy named Audie Murphy, little fella, became a movie star. I think he was from Texas, the most decorated soldier in World War II. He did so many things that they had to make him an officer. And when they made him an officer, they made him a gentleman. They removed him from the people into being an officer with the title of nobility granted by Congress, because all officers in the military are granted the title of gentleman as well as officer. And it says right here, and I just read it, no title of nobility shall be granted by the United States. Well, Congress, located in Washington District of Columbia, is the sole manufacturer of law for the United States, and they went ahead and broke the Constitution by making officers gentlemen. I yield.
More proof that we're under color of law, and that's why we're here today, is to show everybody the proof and point them in the right direction for their mind to understand that we have to restore the republic, because we have been pirated since basically 1861, when the Civil War broke out and the states went into sine die. And then, of course, the president at that point thought that it was extreme need and had to call Congress back into order. And then at that point, they started washing over all the stuff that they didn't like that happened prior to 1861, which, of course, this nobility thing, and we can get into the major nobilities that I seen a problem with, which were the attorneys. They were trying to influence law. They were trying to control the courts. Basically, everybody's heard that, that I was licensed by the bar or whatever, right? They passed the bar so that they could be approved to go into these courtrooms. And basically, the bar stands for British Accredited Registry. Sometimes it's really hard to try to prove that, but everybody knows this. During the middle of 1600s, the Crown of England established a formal registry in London where barristers were ordered by the Crown to be accredited. So they were trying to control the courts there in England. And then the first British Accredited Registry was established in Boston, as far as I can tell, during 1761, in an attempt to allow accredited barrister law access to the British courts of New England. So they were trying to influence the beginning of our country, trying to get that start right there. So basically, they wanted to control the courts and who could defend anybody. And it's all a club. the attorney that's against you, maybe it's the DA, the other attorney that you paid to defend you, him and the judge all belong to the same club. Now, how does anybody win under that scenario when everybody in the room except for you belong to the same club? They're just like passing tokens around the room, really. Go ahead, Ron.
I got the answer to that one. The only way I believe, and I think the information bears it out, that we, one of the people, can win in one of their de facto courts, and it's usually not a win. It's usually they, the word doesn't want to come, dismiss the case.
Yes.
That's what
And
usually
part
happens.
of that means don't cross the bar. When you cross that bar in the room, everybody knows when you go into a courtroom, viewers and witnesses and all that, they sit down in the rows of seats right into the door there. And then there's this bar, and it looks like it's a rail that would stop you from falling off of a ship. And then there's a little gate there inside this bar, this gate, this barrier. And once you cross that bar, you go into their territory. And once you're into that territory, you better watch what's going on there, and make sure your pants are actually zipped up and buttoned and belted, because they're fixing to take you down.
Absolutely. Well said.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. Then he jumps out of the car, and he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, "Just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me." And they did. They shot him dead with his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times.